You're under the cosh a bit.
Yeah.
Why?
I'd love to know. It doesn't make any sense at all.
13 years after the earthquakes, and like so many institutions here in Christchurch, the Arts Centre is running short on funds. To keep their doors open, they've asked the City Council to assist with a $1.8 million shortfall. However, it could be that the City Council denies this request, and it could be that they have other plans for some of these buildings.
Nothing's off the table, but just at the moment, nothing's on the table either. That's how I'd describe it.
The Arts Centre today. If anybody in the tram's got to spend $1 million, the Arts Centre Charitable Trust would love to hear from you.
But first I should declare that Frank Film has been a tenant here for the last 3 years. Like tens of thousands of Christchurch people, this place has been enriching my cultural world for most of my life.
It's pretty rare anywhere in the world. I mean, to have the largest collection of heritage buildings in the country, which also happens to be an art centre. Well, this is a book that was published in Vienna by the Vienna Museums about world culture districts. The Arts Centre of Christchurch.
Wahoo! Do we take it for granted, a wee bit?
Absolutely. It is such a gift, you know, to have such amazing heritage buildings, to then inspire the creatives and the people within them and those who visit. Is just such a treasure for the city.
It was here Lord Rutherford began a great career.
By mid-last century, Canterbury University had outgrown this site, and a new campus was built a few kilometres away in Ireland. That left 22 heritage buildings in the centre of the city, unoccupied and without a purpose.
Norman Kirk stood up in the town hall in 1973 and said, "We will gift this to the people of Christchurch as an arts centre."
He stipulated Arts Centre.
Yes, very much so. We're a charitable trust governed by a constitution.
The 2011 earthquakes threatened to finish the Arts Centre. The damage was catastrophic, and it would have been finished except for a stroke of very good planning and good fortune.
Luckily, we had a great insurance claim. 8 to 9 months before the earthquakes, we had a $20 million cover, which Ken Franklin, just before the earthquakes, increased, and we ended up with a $220 million cover. So we were very, very lucky to have the money.
We've had our fences up and we've just been going for it. It's the largest heritage project or restoration project of its kind in the world. This is the Great Hall. We're restoring memories and creating futures at the Arts Centre.
I'm overwhelmed, and it's a restoration not only for the building but for people too.
There was talk that it would take up to 20 years, and 5 years on and we've got all of this. I think it's great.
This is us at the Arts Centre. We've restored everything except these buildings here. I'm the creative director, so I'm the person responsible for kind of programming and curating the various arts activities across kind of visual art, dance, theatre, writing, music, you know, in all these amazing heritage spaces. Very few places that are set up for arts and culture have this amazingly, beautifully restored heritage site. Going to a concert here in the Great Hall, for example, it's magnified, you know, through the beauty of this place.
Most of our income comes from tenancies, a variety of tenants, including the university music department. We have a hotel, which is a new departure since the earthquakes, and we have a series of artists and arts companies. And we have service industries as well. Now, all those entities now pay a market rate, a market rent, but we curate them. It's not open to all comers.
I started here in 1978 as a projectionist for the Academy, and I want to die here.
Yeah, we're fully tenanted. But it still requires public subsidy. The cost of running heritage buildings is always going to outweigh the income that you can get from those buildings.
Despite all the restored heritage buildings being fully tenanted and at market rates, the Arts Centre still has a budget shortfall.
Before the earthquake, our insurance was $125,000 a year. Now it's $1.2 million per annum. Even in the last 6 months, it's gone up 300,000. So that's the huge problem that we've got. We've actually only asked the council to give us what they gave us 3 years ago. We'd like to have a bit more to be able to deliver more for the community, but just to keep the doors open, we've asked for 1.8 million. The profit that these organisations deliver to the community isn't a financial one. This is a cultural institution. We've understood throughout the world that these sorts of institutions that benefit the community require public subsidy. And yes, there obviously has to be some fiscal responsibility and sustainability within that. But if you remove the subsidy from any cultural organisation, then it fails. If we take the money away from Te Papa, it'll be gone. If we don't subsidise the museum, there will be no museum.
We fund sport, we subsidise sport really heavily. We provide a whole pile of spaces and places for people to exercise, to recreate, and to have a lot of fun. And not everyone's sporty. A lot of people are arty, or a lot of people are a combination. And we need to do that for both.
The Arts Centre creates ripples out into the community, and that's really good.
And I think without a hub, community struggles, right?
But the Christchurch City Council left the Arts Centre's request off the draft version of their long-term plan.
Everyone's coming in through the door wanting a significant amount of money. We've got 17 councillors, including a mayor, around that table. At the moment, our draft rate rise is 13%. Again, if the people come back and say, actually, we're happy to pay another 0.4% a year, then that's something we would consider.
If you didn't get the grant from the council, what would happen to you?
We would have to dissolve the trust. When a charitable trust dissolves, the assets of the trust are assigned by the High Court to a new owner. The only possible owner that we've identified is the council.
Has any thought been given to what would happen if the Arts Centre couldn't pay its bills?
Look, the rumour mill will be full at the moment. I suspect it's pretty busy, but certainly from our point of view, we're sort of saying, well, look, there's a submission process. People can offer a view on it, but we've asked our council officials to do some work, in the event that it did happen, what that would look like. Some of the messaging from the Arts Centre is around that it would be a lot heavier if we ran it in terms of bureaucracy and things like that. And so what we've said is, well, actually, can our officials come up with what a plan would look like?
I'm not sure that council's the best owner of the Arts Centre. The Arts Centre Trust is able to get a huge amount of philanthropic funding, and people simply don't donate money to councils. And so there'll be extra costs because of that. And council really needs to see what they would be before it makes any kind of decision.
No, what we're saying is that if we were holding it, is that how we would run it? And we just want an assessment effectively saying, does it make sense to have this many people running the place, for the size of it and things like that?
Pahi, Rua, Toru, Pa, Rima.
What we've built here is an extraordinarily efficient mechanism for delivering to the community, and we do it on a shoestring. We deliver 3 major festivals, including Matatiki, the Sculpture Festival, which turns a positive financial return, the Off-Centre Festival. Those are 3 major ones, but on top of all that, we've got 4 kids programs. The list goes on and on and on. And the cost to the public purse, when we are subsidised, is $200,000 a year. To give you a comparison, one single small festival in this city subsidised by the council costs about $500,000.
Kia ora, my name's Sasha and I just moved into this beautiful apartment. I'm one of 4 creative residents and we're here for 10 weeks. It's really beautiful, you can see the Botanic Gardens. I'm a choreographer. To come to a residency like this and be supported for the beginning of a new idea is really amazing because, It's almost impossible to make money at that point when you are thinking of something that might work, something that is just in its kind of tender beginnings. So it's actually that point of the process you need the most support.
This is very rare, a space like this for someone that's just, I guess, coming out of being an emerging artist. And I'm sort of just figuring out as I go what it's about. I think it might be a gardener. Maybe some unnamed gardener planting his kumarau.
There is the theory that maybe commercial interests might want to get their fingers on this place, and high-end apartments and...
I think that losing the Arts Centre as a public space, a commons for the arts and creatives, and having it entirely run by private interests would be a huge loss to the city and to the country.
Could it do better financially?
Well, it would be really an interesting thing in terms of the tenancies and things like that.
Unfortunately, for those that want to change it, there's an Act of Parliament that says this is what it is, that A, it belongs to the people of Christchurch and its visitors, and that it is given to us to be a centre of the arts, with a very specific remit to foster, promote and encourage arts, culture, heritage, education and creativity. Yes, if anybody wanted to try and change that, that would be a hell of a fight.
So the legislation does prescribe that, but also the intent of the legislation is quite enabling. So what it effectively says is that it doesn't make sense to have this place sitting entirely empty because you can't afford to run it. So there'll be aspects of it that actually make sense to rent out so that you can fund the other things.
Yes, and that's cleverly what they're doing, it seems.
Yeah, and it'll just be whether that balance is right.
Do you think the Act of Parliament can be changed?
Well, it's very difficult to change legislation. As you know, it takes some time. But again, that might be something local MPs are keen to look at.
You could make it all high-end apartments, and you could get rid of the arts.
Yeah, we could do that. We could actually sell it off, and turn it into high-end apartments. But I said this place is a gift for the people of Christchurch, and that's what it was set up as. That gift has been robbed or just whipped out under their feet, because then it just becomes a place which is privatised and not accessible for people. And I think that would be hugely sad.
What Norman Kirk gave the people of Christchurch all those years ago was indeed an extraordinary gift, but it has come at a cost. These heritage buildings are expensive to maintain. Do we as a people want to keep this as a centre for the arts? Or do we want to accept an increasing percentage as given over to commercial interests?